Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are right now. Welcome to episode 3 of The Vinyl Cut. My name is Chris Wardell. I'm a music journalist slash professional appreciator, if you will. And I'm here with my partner in crime, producer and musician, Kevin Ream. Kevin, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, Chris?
Great. We're here in Kevin's studio, Cut and Run studio, and I think I already mentioned it, but we're here in East Lansing, and I guess you could call this, it's like the vinyl cut on the side. We're kind of veering off into a different category, if you will, right now, talking about kind of a side project.
Yeah, no, I think for our first season, I think it'd be better for newbies like us to mix it up just a little bit. We're going to continue on with the John Lennon discography.
Yep.
But just to sharpen our skills and keep things fresh, we're going to do a challenge episode every now and then.
Yeah. Yep.
This is our first challenge. It's officially our third episode since Plastic Ono Band was a two-parter. We kind of went long, but with all the Beatles breakup and Apple stuff, we had to touch on all that.
Yeah, so I think we're going to call this segment He Loved, He Hated. Now, we could both love it, or we could both hate it, or one could love it, one could hate it.
It's hopefully we're picking stuff that we really don't know what the other person would think.
Right. I think we're just kind of challenging each other to step out of their comfort zone and listen to some music they might not otherwise check out.
Exactly.
Is that correct?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I've got a list of challenges for this season that I'm working on. There's stuff I think you would hate, but I'm curious why. And I think there's stuff that I think that actually you might like, but I'm also curious why, because maybe I wouldn't necessarily expect you to like that, or I just don't have a clue, and I'm curious what a friend of mine thinks about this music.
Yeah, I mean, I think we both come from classic rock backgrounds, but I think for me, there's a lot of other subcategories that I listen to. I listen to a lot of avant-garde jazz, and tons of jam bands, and on and on and on. And I think you tend to be a little rooted in classic rock, but also appreciate some of the newer music that comes out. But there might be some that have slipped under your radar, which is why my first challenge to you is what we're hearing in the background. It's the New Jersey band Garcia People.
Yes. I know quite a bit about classic rock just from growing up when I did. When grunge hit, I was a freshman in high school, so that was perfect timing for that whole 90s era. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, I guess I'm mostly rooted in rock and roll, but post high school I started to go backwards and get into the beginning of the blues and bluegrass and all that jazz. But I'm always looking for something new that I really like, and there's always something around the corner. It does honestly feel like it's fewer and far between these days. Mm-hmm. But it might be because I've got 3 kids now. I'm getting older, and maybe I don't have the time to look in every nook and cranny like I used to when I was younger.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, as a father of a newborn, that's probably going to be the case for me as he gets older.
But there's still always something, and that's what's great. And every song hasn't been written yet.
Right. So yeah, what we're hearing in the background is, as I mentioned, it's the album One Step Behind by New Jersey quartet Garcia Peoples. This is their 3rd album in the past year and a half, and they put out 2 this year. Earlier in June, they put out, it was their third album, Natural Facts. And then in October, they put out this one, which is One Step Behind. And
this came out in September?
September, yes, thank you. I was thinking October, but that was when I picked it up.
No, this is super fresh, and I'd never heard of it or of them until you told me about it. I was surprised that it's 2 songs long. The first song is
35 minutes.
Yeah, okay. And the second song's 8 minutes.
Yeah. And this album is vastly different from the one they put out earlier in the year. The one earlier in the year is more song structured. The songs are
more like the second song on the album.
Right, yeah, the second song on this album. Which we'll get to that, but I feel like the second song on One Step Behind was totally not necessary.
Yeah, they don't seem to be related much in any way.
Yeah.
Other than maybe they just didn't want to leave it as one large jam. I mean, this literally couldn't be put on vinyl unless they just fade out and then fade back, you know.
Well, I have this on vinyl.
Get out of here.
Yeah, that's what they do. You have to flip it over and the jam keeps going.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Well, that's odd. I don't know if I would make that choice. This seems to me more like an EP, but I guess it's long enough to be put on vinyl, you know. Maybe it's just because it's only 2 songs. And so far, this song has been going for 7.5 minutes, and it's pretty much been this. So, which gets me to my first complaint, maybe.
All right.
I don't know if we need 8 minutes of this.
Disagree. I appreciate the looping and I appreciate the hypnotic trance, if you will, that the music is lulling you into. And this kind of just builds slowly over time. And
Very slowly.
Very slowly. But it goes from a hypnotic trance to a full-on chugul, if you will. And I love that they added the saxophone player, who happens to be the dad of let me rephrase that. It's the father of the son in the band, Tom. I'm probably going to
really
massacre his last name. It's Tom Malik, but his dad
is the sax player.
His dad, Bob, is the sax player.
What's the son? Is he the singer?
He's the singer and guitar player.
Okay.
But Bob actually has quite a background of playing with lots of other people. He has performed with Stevie Wonder, Madonna, Miles Davis, Barbra Streisand, Steve Miller, and that's just to name a few.
My mom calls Steve Miller Stephen Miller too.
He's such a nice boy, that Stephen Miller. It's funny, I heard Steve Miller this morning.
You did?
Yeah. The original version of Fly Like an
I was
Eagle.
gonna say the long one.
Yeah, which is better than the second one you put out. But Steve Miller aside, I don't know. For me, I love this kind of stuff. I love when bands get loopy and weird and experimental.
I don't mind it, but this section here, it's building. Yes, it's getting to something. They start introducing some sounds that sound like Han Solo farting into a bucket while firing off his blaster. I think that's in there somewhere. It took me a long time to put a flange on a fart. And a phaser on a Han Solo blaster. And it was not worth it. But
well, the thing I love about this band is these guys are literally kids. They're in their early to mid 20s, and they've already put out 4 albums, and they're on the record label Beyond is Beyond, and I just could not get enough of the artists and records they were putting out last year. And they have the name Garcia, and that's obviously a nod to their influence,
Sure.
You know, Jerry and the Dead, and there seems to be this resurgence of psychedelic rock bands, kids that are getting into the Grateful Dead and in some aspects Fish, but not so much, mostly Dead, and I am all for that compared to what's out there right now.
oh no, of course. I had no idea how young these guys were. That changes my perspective a little bit. I thought to have a 35-minute song, I kind of look for a little bit more virtuosity in the playing. I see what they're trying to do in this, and I really like the soundscape, what they're laying down. For something this long, I'm looking for some sort of playing to take me somewhere. And the playing didn't necessarily do it.
Mm-hmm.
The jam and the feel, which is more important, that's serving more of a purpose. But I think understanding now how young they are and what this is going to sound like in 10 years,
oh yeah,
it's going to be that extra element that I feel like it's missing right now, with just a little bit more virtuosity in the playing, because I can hear this kid's going to be a really good guitar player.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't wait for new music that they're going to put out, and if it continues on this trend of, you know, an album or 2 albums every year and a half, then I'm all for it. And
well, you got to fill me in on their other albums. They are they like this, or are they like you said? That sounded like there's more songs. Are they?
I would call this their experimental album. Like I said, their last one, Natural Effects, which came out last spring. The songs are shorter, definitely jammy. You know, there's no denying that. But they definitely reel it in on that album. This one is a little more freeform.
Here's a little something that this was bringing to mind. I think it's the trancey part of it.
Yeah, for sure.
I hear a few influences in there. I love it when it gets to the song.
Definitely has that 1960s British
Those
invasion
harmonies remind me of this one.
It's always going to come back to the Beatles, isn't it?
They brought it back to it, but it's the same harmony structure as this song, and it sounds great.
I could wait forever. I've got time.
But yeah, there's something Revolver-ish about this song, I guess.
I've got time. I've got time.
That's the Dead part that I hear. This little section here really reminds me of the Dead.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like mid to late 70s Dead.
Oh, I don't know. Could be
Yeah, these guys are coming to Grand Rapids in January, and I can't wait to see them.
Have you investigated their song lists? Do they switch it up a bit? Do they?
Oh yeah, like, you know, again, the whole never playing the same show twice
Awesome.
philosophy from the Dead
No, that's great.
is in there. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you know, everyone gives me lots of shit about jam bands, but I just love how they keep switching it up from show to show,
No,
album to album.
It's amazing. You watch after Bob Dylan toured with the Dead, he took that with him.
Mm-hmm.
He took preparing the band for like 70 songs on a tour, and you never know what the hell you're gonna get in a night. Sometimes not even preparing the band with Bob. But I think Bob took that from them. Obviously, Fish did.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a whole lot of people that I think it just opened their minds. I need a horn to honk. My band, we try to do that. We've never played the same show, and it's from a musician's point of view, it's the greatest thing in the world. I never feel like we're trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of prog rock here too. A lot of people think that Fish was inspired by the Grateful Dead, but in fact, many interviews they've said they were more influenced by Peter Gabriel's Genesis and Yes, and
Really?
yeah, like Trey
I can see some yes.
Trey Anastasio said he didn't see the Dead until the early 80s, so it's funny you listen to him, like his influences are like the Pretenders and Brian Eno and Roxy Music and
Sure. No, and I'm one of those weirdos that I like Fish. I like their songs. Like I'm less of a jam guy, more of a song guy, and Fish is underrated for a lot of their songs, I think. Just on a song basis, because they decided to jam for 25 minutes in the bridge.
yeah. And like I said, it's funny, you know, and I'm fine with it, but a lot of these kids, these newer jam bands, if you will, that are coming out, they don't cite Fish as a reference, but that's fine. But you know, there's other bands on this Beyond is Beyond record label that are amazing. There's another one called Dire Wolves, you know,
Sure.
named after the Dead song. And then there's another band called 111 Heavy, and
It's not that fashionable to name the most recent thing, or maybe even the thing that influences you the most as an artist, because you're giving too much away about yourself.
yeah.
Like I don't think like, for instance, like the Stevie Ray Vaughan guitar players that are out there, they play literally the exact same thing lick for lick, but then won't cite him as an influence, you know, like.
Yeah. Well, he was terrible anyway. I don't like Stevie Ray Vaughan.
You know, I understand why somebody wouldn't like Stevie Ray Vaughan, but I need to show you when he's coked up and on a lot of whiskey and playing the most amazing guitar I may have ever seen. I know it's a bold statement, but it's there. Radio killed him, and he shouldn't have been the great white hope for the blues in the 80s. That was, you know, he got labeled with some shit he shouldn't have. Like, maybe we'll talk about that someday.
Yeah, I mean, they can only keep going up from here, I think. So.
No, it's super inspiring to know how young they are and how good they already sound and how many good ideas they have within one song. Let's take a look at the second song. Okay, what's this one called, Chris?
Check right now. The song is called Heart and Soul.
Oh, yeah. Okay, here is the actual Heart and Soul. Now, this is more of a song than the last one, although the last one got to some great parts of songs. They just were doing a whole lot before it. I could hear Richard Manuel singing this and playing this.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate this song, but I feel like it's a great song, but I feel like it doesn't fit on this album. I feel like they just should have kept the one song and kept it an EP.
That makes sense to me. I totally agree.
But at the same time, I could also see this as it could be your like Saturday night come down album.
Sure.
It builds up and then, brings you back down.
I think it's a great song. It's very mature for their age. And like I said, I could imagine Richard Manuel at the piano, Garth over on the organ, like really reminds me of the band.
Mm-hmm.
Another song this one reminds me of. Reminds me of Wilco a little bit. Side with Seeds.
When the blacktop cracks, we'd spark through.
Yeah, I mean, as kids, it's probably hard for them to hide their influences. Like as you said, their influences are on their sleeves. So.
Yeah, no, and I think it's great. I don't think you should ever. I think that's. I think a mistake that artists make are running from them and trying to hide. Like I was saying before, pretending that the closest thing to you. Sometimes it's not that cool to admit it.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when you can pick out influences like this in an artist or in a song, it's indicating to you that it's a good song.
Yeah.
Because we just named what? Wilco, the band, and Beatles before that.
Yeah. It's
I didn't say
hard to live up to.
Yeah, we're not comparing them to Matchbox 20.
Right.
Okay. Speaking of influences, here's what this section reminds me of a little bit. Little Shine On. But another great to compare it to.
Little Jethro Tull in there.
Yeah, no, it's not a Mellotron. That's a real thing.
I interviewed Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull.
You did?
Yeah. On the phone.
Was he cool?
Yeah, he talked about his cats a lot. He's really into his cats. So. He's like, said he had like 30 cats.
Jesus. Well, he seems crazier than shit.
He said he won't shake people's hands because I said I looked forward to possibly meeting him because Tull was coming to East Lansing for a Christmas show at the Wharton Center, and I didn't end up going, but he said, "Mate, if I ever get a chance to meet you, I'll bump elbows with you." And I was like, "Bump elbows?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't shake hands because I'm a flautist."
You're delicate.
But yeah. So anyway,
In summation,
I'm 2 thumbs up, way high on this album.
I'm 1.5 thumbs up. I think in some of the jammy parts that go 7-8 minutes, I think I'm looking for a little bit more. I don't mind that you're gonna jam that long, but I think I'm just probably looking for more. But understanding how young they are, that helps. And when they actually got to the song parts of the songs, they were great.
Yeah. So it's a he loved, he kind of likes.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna challenge you now. This is the part where I pick one for you to dig into.
Excellent. Can't wait.
I would like you to check out Philadelphia 5-piece Dr. Dog's 2005 release, Easy Beat.
All right. I don't think I've heard that album.
It's a fun listen. I highly recommend it. The production's got its own thing going on, and their harmonies are great.
All right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking it out, and I accept your challenge.
All right. Okay, well, we'll see you next time. Episode 4, when we will be talking about John Lennon's Imagine.
Sounds good, Kevin. Thanks.
All right, have a good one, Chris.
Thank you, too. This video and or podcast includes copyrighted material for the sole purpose of commentary, review, and education regarding the copyrighted material. The vinyl cut makes no claims of ownership of any of this copyrighted material. This use is protected under United States law, specifically Section 107 of the Copyright Act, as it applies to fair use of copyrighted material for the purpose of criticism and commentary. If you are the owner of any copyrighted material appearing here and wish for it not to be utilized for this purpose, please contact us directly at wardellc@msu.edu, and be sure to check out the vinyl cut on Facebook.